This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
The Holocron Histories podcast, where we talk about all things Star Wars and its lore, canon versus legends. I am one of your hosts, Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I am your other host, Ben of Temeria.
So, what are we talking about today? Because we just got off our 3 episodes of Mando.
That we did, and 3 episodes of epicness. But today we are going to go into a little bit more of legend stuff. Specifically, one of the major factions that we've talked about on the show through Legends, but never really got into it. You might have mentioned, you might have heard us talk about, Valkorion or, the Eternal Empire, but that is what we are going to go over today, is the Eternal Empire from Legends. And if anybody doesn't know, go play Star Wars The Old Republic MMO, because you will fully face that empire.
Now, do we need to give a spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't played those expansions?
I mean, we can put a spoiler warning on this today. I mean, the game's been out for 11 years now.
But that expansion hasn't.
It's been out about 5 to 6 years since that's been out. So, I mean, it's not like KOTOR. Oh, towards a 20-year-old game, but still, I don't know. But then again, not everybody plays MMOs. It's not it's not the game for everybody, which is fully understandable. So, but yeah, let's get right into it. The Eternal Empire, also known as the Eternal Empire of Zakul, or the Zakul Empire, was a totalization dictatorship in the Outer Rim and was based on the wild space planet Zakul. And by wild space, I mean it's not in the middle of nowhere, to where it's uncharted territory almost. It was led by Emperor Valkorion sometime before the Galactic War that Valkorion sought to use to reshape the galaxy. Valkorion used the Empire's Eternal Fleet to battle both the Galactic Republic and the reconstructed Sith Empire on multiple worlds, which the Eternal Empire won, thus forcing both the Republic and Sith Empire to be its puppet states until the war against Zakul. And if anybody has not seen the... Oh god, what's the expansion? Star Wars The Old Republic, Knights of the Fallen Empire? Expansion trailer? That is the trailer where you see Valkorion use his twin sons to... They go after both the Republic and the Sith Empire, respectively, and take trophies from Jedi and Sith that they defeated in battle to Valkorion. Go watch all the Star Wars Old Republic trailers. They're all fantastic cinematics, and they're all canon within the story of the game, which is even better.
Right. So I guess my question is like when you start the Fallen, because there's two expansions that deal with the Eternal Empire.
Correct. Yeah, there's the Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Fallen Throne?
Or Eternal Throne, I think.
Eternal Throne, yes. Knights of the Eternal Throne, that's what it is.
So when we start the expansion, Fallen Empire, because Fallen Empire is first.
I believe so.
Is that after they've conquered the Republic or before?
So the start of, and this is spoiler territory for anybody who has not played SWTOR. So the start of the expansion is you, the character, whatever character you have, travels with, oh god, watch it. Well, he's a Sith Lord in the game, and I can't remember his name on the top of my head. I can see his face. But
Darth Mar.
Mar, thank you. Darth Mar. I almost said Malgus, and I knew that was remotely not right. Darth Mar and you, as your character, go off and try to find, like, beacons or something like that in Swout space, and then, trying to find the Emperor, not knowing it was Valkorion. You just know him as the Emperor. Because if you play the Jedi Knight storyline, things happen in that storyline that directly ties into the expansions. But nonetheless, you go to Zakul, you meet the Emperor, and things happen to where you get put in a carbonite for, I think, 5 years? Or something like that. You're in there for well more than 3 to 5 years. And once you get out, at that point in time, the Eternal Empire took over both the Republic and the Sith Empire as puppet states because they couldn't fight back because the Eternal Empire was that powerful. More for the fact because the Internal Fleet. You do see the Internal Fleet when you are in the prologue of the expansion, and those ships are devastating. But yeah, they're just a giant space wall that shoots lasers at you. If you try to shoot back, it's not going to reach it, or they have energy shields put up to it. And yeah.
Right. So the end of, this is a question for me, and anyone who's spoilers, because I'm not yet through the Jedi Knight story. Mm-hmm. Because I read if you want like a follow-up to the Revan novel, you need to play the Jedi Knight class story and then do Shadow of Revan.
Yeah, the expansions is follow, like, if you want a really good story specifically with the Eternal Empire, you want to have a Jedi Knight character because your class story revolves around the Emperor himself. And then on top of that, one of your companions is actually from the Revan novel, Lord Scourge. And then on top of that, you have, once you go through that, you'll go through the Hutt Cartel expansion, which it loosely ties, but not really. And then you'll go into Shadow of Revan, which is the second expansion they did, which directly ties more with the Emperor stuff, and you get a little bit more of, spoiler, Revan's alive after 300 years. The Emperor kept him alive because how powerful he was, and you get to see more of the cruelty the Emperor has really done to the galaxy in that expansion, and why, like, even Revan, who is supposed to be dead, kept himself alive specifically to, like, kill the Emperor.
Right. So, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, just a bit.
So for right now, for purposes, we have Darth Vitiate and Valkorion are known as separate beings right now.
Correct.
Okay.
So, with the origins of their history, sometime before the ritual of Neothim, and the Great Galactic War, Vitiate, the Sith Emperor, traveled to outer space in search of the Internal Fleet, a supposedly unstoppable fleet of warships commanded by sentient droids. His journey brought him to Jakul, where he discovered a culture of superstitious humans who worship the ruthless old gods. And then taking on the identity...
Cue Dragon Age.
Right.
Cue Dragon Age.
I mean, it's
reference.
BioWare. It's BioWare, so...
Exactly.
Of course.
BioWare again with the old gods coming in.
Mm-hmm. And then, taking on the identity of Valkorion, he unified the nomadic tribes of Zakul into a civilization utterly devoted to him, creating the Eternal Empire, installing himself as their immortal emperor. And if anybody doesn't know, Vitiate / Valkorion, who are the same person / the emperor, plot twist, he is such a powerful force wielder. He actually does, is immortal. Until, a certain point through the expansions of SWTOR, where you can finally end him. But yeah, he is actually immortal. Because he, take Darth Nihilus and dial up his power of, draining life energy from planets or from people. Dial that up to 100 or times 100. He can literally wipe out an entire planet, even though if he's in a completely different system. It's terrifying.
Yeah. If you want, I think if you're, thinking of playing SWTOR and you want something to, preface you ready for whatever's going to happen, you need to read the books Old Republic Revan and Old Republic Deceived, because they really set up where you're entering in. And I did that before I started playing, and it really helped me understand what's going on around.
Yeah, so side note, the Old Republic Revan book specifically obviously goes over Revan, but also talks about the reconstructed Sith Empire and Lord Scourge, and their plans of building their armies and building their numbers before they come back to fight the Republic. And then Deceit is specifically a book about Darth Malgus, who is one of the main antagonists of the game, even though you only face him in strike missions, which I think is the dumbest thing ever.
Well, isn't he part of the new expansion?
No, that's true. They did finally bring him back for the newest expansion, but in base game, you see him in holograms, and you fight him only in a few strike missions, which I thought was weird because he was in every single promo for the base game and in the book,
right?
Which made I thought he was going to be the main guy that we fight for the Jedi Knight storyline, because that made sense. But no.
Yeah, I thought we'd see some kind of conflict between him and Satele, at least,
nope.
Because everything. But I thought we were going to get it with some kind of companion quest with T7, because his whole companion story is about the Jedi Master Malgus kills.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's really cool how they intertwine all the classes together, and also all the books are filled in with the story of the game. But back on the Eternal Empire, so Vitiate now, or Valkorion, he formed a new force user order called the Knights of Zakul to serve as his special forces. A subgroup of the Knights, called Scions, use their visions to locate the Eternal Fleet and enslave the sentient Gemini droids to his eternal throne. And if you played SWTOR and you know the name Gemini from somewhere, Gemini is also a type of droid that you meet in the Imperial Agent storyline as a companion for that. And it's they're beefed. Like, if you think HK is a powerful droid, Gemini droids are above that. And they have their own, like, personalities and, like, own thoughts, which is kind of creepy because they interact in just like any other species in the galaxy, and it's kind of terrifying. They have their own free will.
Yeah, the implications that SWTOR has on droid lore is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, there's one Jedi, I believe, that believes droids can be force sensitive.
Yeah, there is. Yep.
Which is very interesting. But
so now we skip all the way to the Galactic War, which is the event of Star Wars: Old Republic. So the Eternal Empire remained hidden until the Galactic War, when Valkorian's twin sons, Arcane and Thraxon, proposed a pre-emptive strike against the greater galaxy to test the strength of both the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire. Valkorian sanctioned their proposal, but commanded that only Thraxon would lead their forces. And if you watch the trailers, you will see Arcane is he goes through some crap. And then Arcane disobeyed his father and joined his brother, resulting in him being wounded in action on Korriban. When the twin princes returned to Zakul to present the trophies, Valkorian merely turned his back on them, embracing the dark side. Arcane lunged to attack his father, only to be restrained by Thraxon, resulting in Arcane accidentally killing his twin. Thraxon's death was then covered up and publicly blamed as a casualty in the Core Worlds campaign. So that is in the trailer that we see for the Fallen Empire expansion for SWTOR. We do see that on screen in cinematics, and lo and behold, Arcane doesn't take his twin's accidental death well, obviously, for many purposes, but then uses that as a way to strike back at his father. So when the Outlander, which is your character, because you were known as whatever you are in your class story, but when you get to these expansions, later expansions, you're known as the Outlander or General, depending on how far you get through the story. So the Outlander and Darth Mar were captured by Arcane after a major battle in which Mar's ship was destroyed. The Emperor had a talk with them. Both the Outlander and Mar knew that Valkorian's true identity was nothing less than that of the Sith Emperor, whom they had been searching for. Valkorian stated that he would share his eternal empire with them if he would only kneel. Mar replied that he would never again kneel to Valkorian. And then Mar was sadly executed by Valkorian after they stole a saber staff from one of the Knights of Zakul. The Outlander was given the same choice to kneel before Valkorian, an opportunity that almost no one else had ever received. Arcane portrayed his father in hatred, and Valkorian was killed. Arcane claimed himself to be the new emperor of the Eternal Empire and froze the Outlander in carbonite. So yeah, a lot happens in like the prologue. Oh, that's just the prologue for you.
Wow.
And then Arcane used his father's death to wage his conquest of the core worlds that would see the Galactic Republic and Sith Empire on the losing end, with the Internal Fleet favoring ambush tactics and massive technologically superiority. Superiority. Gosh, words are hard with me today.
Words is hard.
To destroy the bulk of both sides' fleets all within a matter of months. Yeah, like Arcane does so much damage to both the Republic and the Sith. Like, it's devastating. And then at the end of the first year, the capitals of both Coruscant and Dromund Kaas were blockaded. Only ships outfitted with Element Isotope 5 were capable of outrunning them, but could never truly compete. And then, after a year of conflict, the governments of the Galactic Republic and Sith Empire, represented Senator Everain and Darth Valron, had formed treaties agreeing to arms limitation and to pay tributes to the Eternal Empire, making it a sole superpower within the galaxy. Yeah, we think the Galactic Empire was, like, tyrannical and powerful. Yeah, the Eternal Empire is like that on times 10. Like, it's insane on how much they took over. And then afterwards, massive battle stations known as Star Fortresses were placed in orbit of certain planets in the galaxy in order to keep rebellions from forming and to ensure that the reparations from both governments were paid. The fortresses were under the command of exarchs and biologically and cybernetically enhanced Knights of Zakul. And then, but as the galaxy suffered, the Eternal Empire itself also, in ways had many did not or wish not to see. Arcane's rule had become oppressive and cruel, with his sister Valen no longer restrained by her father, causing death and destruction in her wake as her powers in the Force continued to grow. Yeah, if you think Arcane's bad, his sister is as bad or worse. Yeah.
Okay, I have lots of questions.
Oh, I bet.
So, in SWTOR, we know that there are the children of the Empire.
Yes.
But they're Emperor. But they're not really children of the Empire. Is this the same kind of thing going on here?
So, no. So, Thraxon, Valen, and Arcan are actually all blood tied to Valkorion. Like, that's his blood children.
Okay, so is Valen the girl we see in the starts of the Eternal Throne?
Yes.
So the one that is, like, has her protector?
Yes.
And then, okay.
Yeah, like, the woman, and, like, she dons, like, white silver armor. And trying, like, if you watch the trailer of trying to take Valen and trying to escape, that is her mother. That's the twins and Valen's mother. And Valkorion's wife.
Sure.
She full on admits that Valkorion is her husband, but it's like they haven't been, like, quote unquote in love for, like, a good while, probably since Valen was born, or like shortly after.
Right.
More for the fact because Valkorion sees Valen's powers keep getting stronger and stronger to where she could get stronger than him, and he was training her specifically and, like, indoctrinating her into a way to where if he says a phrase, she goes into, like, a state of, like, stasis, like she can't move, kind of a thing.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. And with, Valkorion dead at this point, like, she was never known that Valkorion never uses words against her, but there was no restraints for her after his quote-unquote death.
Right.
So, now we have to where the Outlander escapes. So this is at your character escaping Zakul. So in 3631 BBY, Lena Balenko and Koth Vortina freed the Outlander from Carbonite imprisonment, acquired an ancient ship that was once part of the Eternal Fleet called the Gravestone, and created an alliance determined to destroy the Eternal Throne. Arkan, in turn, resorted to using all the resources of the Eternal Empire to hunt down and destroy this threat to his power. In the wake of the Alliance's formation, many operational objectives were carried out, foremost being the destruction of the Star Fortresses around potential ally worlds such as Alderaan, Voss, and Bothawoli, and had kept them from even getting in contact as a result of them being in orbit. These operations would see several major worlds make contact with the Alliance against the Eternal Throne and join to restore the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire back to their past power. So, yeah, at this point, like, this is, like, basically Chapter 1 of the expansion, to where you escape Zakul. You eventually go through, I think, Chapter 5 or 6 is when you start the Alliance. Might be Chapter 7. But this is where in the game, once you create the Alliance, you become, like, the commander, and both the Republic forces and Sith forces join together so they can take down this major power, because they've both been oppressed by it for 5-6 years, and not in a good way. And this is also, for fun game stuff, you get companions that you normally weren't able to get from your class story into this part of the game. So this is where you start getting characters from other classes from that were companions for those class stories, but as for whatever class you're playing currently.
I see. So I'm trying to think of an example. If you were a smuggler, you could get Kira as a companion.
Correct. Now Kira is not way till later into everything, but yes, essentially. For an example, the smuggler, you have a Wookiee companion, as a smuggler should, and you can recruit him for whatever class you are at this part of the game, because you're just trying to find allies to help you fight against the Eternal Empire.
Interesting.
But first companion will always unlock will be T7, regardless of class. You will always have that droid with you, and it's fantastic.
He is the best droid.
Yes. Him and T3. T3 and T7 are the best droids and my favorite droids of all time.
Also, I will say, after I played the mission with the Jedi who thinks droids can be force sensitive, I now make the assertion that R2-D2 is force sensitive, and I will not be hearing any arguments otherwise. That droid is force sensitive.
I mean, how lucky he is and everything, and just things happen the way he needs to. Yeah, R2 probably is force sensitive at that point. Or the force is just, on his side in every endeavor he does.
He is the force, and the force is with him.
Exactly. So, and then now we have anarchy in paradise. So sometime later, a contact from Central Ally would present itself in the form of an anarchist known as Firebrand, who would be bombing minor targets on Zakul for the past 2 years without being caught by the Knights of Zakul and Sky Troopers. And Sky Troopers are basically their foot soldiers, and they're just souped up droids. That's all they are. Think battle droids, from the CIS, kind of, but they have backpacks.
B1s or B2s?
B2s. They're more like B2s. But they use rifles, not instead of the arm blasters.
Right.
And to make contact with the anarchists, the Lady of Sorrows offer a high-yield explosive, which would see the Outlander making contact with the being in question, revealed to be Calio Denaris, who is from the Sith Empire, or Sith Agent class. She's a companion from that.
See.
And then, due to the Outlander, quote-unquote, stealing her thunder, a plan was devised to take down the droids in the Spire. The attack was to make the Zakulian populace, who had become reliant on the droid labor for menial yet important tasks, to take stock of the situation and wake them up for their peaceful lives. So Zakul is highly dependent on droids and just automatics, menial labor and energy source and everything. No one runs anything on Zakul. Humans have the perfect place on Zakul, basically. They don't have to do anything to live a comfortable life.
I see.
And as a result, the Overwatch facility where all the commands of the droids and even the Sky Troopers came from was destroyed. With the systems down, the droids stopped working for at least a short time, but an added bonus was gaining the Spire schematics, which detail the infrastructure that would be usable for the eventual attack on the Spire in order to remove Arcane from power. The new Emperor would use this event as an excuse for the destruction of 5 worlds that had to be earlier in a search for the Alliance and the Outlander. So yeah, he blew up 5 worlds because of them blowing up a Spire. Very similar to the First Order. But
nice.
But I think at this point we can take a quick mid-break.
All right, well, let's get to it.
Ouch. This knee is killing me, but I can't stop training. The marathon is in 2 weeks.
Let's get on ZocDoc and find a doctor to take a look at that for you.
Okay.
Here's a review. Dr. Craddock really takes his time.
No, I don't have time.
What about Dr. Charles? His patients say he can help find a quick fix, and he's in network.
Great, now we're talking. Book it.
Booked. 1 mile down, 19 to go.
Bring it on.
You've got options. Download the ZocDoc app today. At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Shop up to 40% off with minimum purchase and a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Plus, pay at your own pace starting at 0% APR with Affirm. Terms apply.
Alrighty, well, welcome to the middle of the show where we talk about all things that have to do with the show, but not about the Star Wars lore. And it's here that we thank our patrons. Thank you so much to our patrons who support us from all tiers. We greatly appreciate it. And if you'd like to join our patron chat, which happens once a month, which will happen again in 2 weeks, you can sign up on Patreon at our $20 tier or higher. You can come join us once a month on the show, and we greatly appreciate that. Also, if you want to hang out with us while we're recording, if you want to hang out with us and respond to talk with us right here and there of all the things we're saying, we do go live on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that would be 5 p.m. Pacific. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We go live at twitch.com/Ben of Temeria, and you can come and hang out with us and chat about Star Wars lore. That'd be a lot of fun to hang out there. The last thing I had, or before we do, you can hang out with us on Discord too. You could join the Cups podcast team and more, or the Robots Radio Discord. You can find us there and all the shows that we do there with channels and lots of fun. And then the last thing is, if you like to support our show but maybe can't do so financially, a great way to do that is to leave us ratings and reviews on Apple or Spotify. If you leave us 5 stars and some words, we will read it out on a future episode of the show. On Apple, we are up to 18 reviews. So if you want to be that person who gets us to that 19 and 20 and you have not yet reviewed us on Apple, we'd greatly appreciate you doing that. And we can get to that 20 reviews on Apple. And even if you do not listen on Apple, that's okay. As long as you have an Apple account, you can go on there and leave us a review there.
And fun thing, we are at 50 reviews on Spotify.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Cool. I don't really have anything to add for this mid-break, so let's get back into it.
This episode is brought to you by Tidy Cats, here to level up your litter game with their new Performance Plus lineup. Your home is your happy place, your cats, VIPs. So when it comes to the litter box, excellence isn't optional. Choose from products that specialize in max power clumping, low tracking, or odor fighting so advanced, stink won't see it coming. Tidy Cats Performance Plus. Mission mighty, keep it tidy. Shop now at tidycats.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
All right. Now that we're back, we are now coming into the part of the story where Havoc Squad comes in to assist. And Havoc Squad, it happens to be the squad that you are a part of for the Republic Trooper class story of the base game. So, after the journey with Firebrand, Theon Shan used his resources to contact the Galactic Republic, finding out the elite Havoc Squad would be conducting an unauthorized raids on Zakul beneath the notice of the Senate and the other higher-ups from the Republic military. A meeting was not set between them, himself and the Outlander to recruit the squad, and joining the alliance, they have met deep within the endless swamp, where they discovered that Arik Jorgen was now in command of the squad. Unfortunately, their landing did not go unnoticed, and a probe tracked their location until Jorgen shot it down, forcing the squad to split up in different directions in order to return to the camp without the unit becoming compromised should they have been captured. The Outlander and Jorgen would find a vantage point in order to cover the retreat as they spoke about the events of the last 5 years, the situation in Zakul, and even about Arkin. This continued until Jorgen discovered Zakulian exiles, people who doubted Arkin's politics and actions that were subsequently left in the swamp to die, being chased by sky troopers as their homes were being burned down to quote-unquote crack down on negative actions against the Eternal Empire. This would later be a folly, for during an attack on the Knights of the Zakul outpost and continued a planet-wide comm relay, the Outlander, Theron, and the Havoc Squad were pinned down by Sky Trooper reinforcements once their objective was achieved. The situation looked grim until the Zakulian exiles destroyed the transport shuttle and was ferrying additional Sky Troopers and blew up the squad that had them pinned down during with using thermal detonators. I love those grenades. And depending on the Outlander's choice, the Zakulian exiles would either begin training with Havoc Squad to become guerrilla fighters, or would fight on their own, no longer dependent on the Sky Troopers to defend themselves. Any questions?
Not really.
Okay.
Just taking it all in.
And then now we have raiding the Gilded Star. Sometime after the Battle of the Hyperwave Relay Station, Gaunt Renro, who was a former associate of the Grand Champion of the Great Hunt, approached the commander with a proposition to raid the Gilded Star, an Eternal Empire treasury ship holding in the atmosphere of the gas giant Vandalin. And then Galt Renno is a companion for the Bounty Hunter class story that you have for the base game. And I will say the Bounty Hunter story is probably one of my favorite stories to play, because you can just be a Mando and it's great and it's awesome. You can carbonite everybody. It's fantastic.
Just like Din Djarin.
Exactly. And they have a similar armor set in the game you can buy on the cartel market that is very similar to Din Djarin's. It's an Old Republic style to his Beskar armor, but still awesome. And the commander agreed to the plan and accompanied Gaunt to Vanden, along with Lana Bianco, Theron Shan, Shinya Triel, and Scorpio. Scorpio being a Gemini droid, Senya being the mother of Arkin and Thraxan and Valen, Theron being Satil Shan's son, so he is Basila's great-great-grandson, I think, or something like that. And Lana Bianco is a Sith warrior that you meet in the Shadow of Revan expansion, but then later obviously becomes a companion during these expansions. So arriving on the gas giant Tibian mining platform, Galt took the commander to look for the hiding container Dretcher, an Armanoid identity slicer. Immediately recognizing Galt as Therius Loci, Dretcher activated the battle droids and tried to kill the Devorian, and that's a species which we only see in SWTOR. However, Galt and the commander easily destroyed the droids, and through Dretcher's container boasted reinforced armor. Galt threatened to shake him to death with a sonic amplifier. Dretcher had no choice but to let the Devorian inside and agree to his job in exchange for finally getting Threasius off his back. Galt and the commander then attended the meeting with the Rexengane and its captain, Kenric Faust. Then asking to impact his missile, Galt announced his refusal to pay for it, and after the Niktos raised their arms, activated the warhead, the Nikto ran away, attempting to free the blast radius, but Galt, unable to stop the cracked countdown, which reached 0. However, the Twi'lek partner, Vet, was revealed to be hidden inside the missile, having already removed the warhead beforehand. And Vet is the Sith warrior, one of your first Sith warrior companion in the base game story of that. So we're coming across a lot of companions from the base game.
Yeah.
Galt then assembled the entire team for the hideout and laid out the entire plan to infiltrate the ship. Dretcher would then supply Identity High Justice Valen for her mother, Sinra Toral, who provided a genetic match to required character knowledge and would take Scorpio aboard as her attaché droid. This would access the bridge and deactivate security protocols, allowing Vet, Galt, and the commander to get on board, place the warhead inside the vault. When the Gilded Star came up for the annual supply, the Alliance teams moved into position. Dretcher holographic disguise worked, allowing Senya to get on board under identity of her daughter. From the bridge, Scorpio opened the way to the vault, and Galt and the Alliance commander, while Vet used her sneaking skills to disable the vault's security mechanisms. Inside the vault, Galt planted the missile warhead, which upon destruction vaporized the entire content of the precious metals, leaving everything outside the vault safe and intact. The vault's entire contents and precious metals were then pumped into the tanker, piloted by Lana Belenko and Theron Shan, while Scorpio and Senya soon joined them. So the whole mission is you're destroying all this metal and melting it down to where you steal it, and then so you can take the resources away from the Eternal Empire. It's just a high risk robbery. This is all the mission is. And then Galt, Vet, and the commander encountered some difficulties when only escape route left was them to take the skyhook down the way they came, and the path was blocked by the real Valen, who arrived with the inspection force. Determined to avoid confronting her, Galt suggested going outside the ship's hull, where he received a call from Mahilo Viz, who is one of your advisors when you get the Alliance up and going. She's your smuggler advisor. His old partner positioned her shuttle next to the hull of the Gilded Star so that Galt, Vet, and the commander could jump off directly onto the vessel, while the rest of the team left aboard Belenko's tanker. Returning to Odessin, Galt and Vet expressed their desire to join the Alliance, but the celebration was interrupted by the return of Arik Doran, and Kaleo Dindaris, who managed to escape Zakul with a database on the Genomai droids I can't talk. Although losing the rest of the Havoc Squad in the process, hoping to salvage the fiasco, Blanco orders Scorpio to analyze the data's archive. Oh my gosh. Words. But yeah, a lot happens, and I think that's like chapter 12 or 13. There was like almost 20 chapters in just the Fallen Empire expansion, and it's a chapter-based system instead of by acts, which is normally how they go with the base game. So for the collapse of the Eternal Empire, by the end of the war with the Alliance, Emperor Arkin had been dethroned, Empress Valen was killed, and Valkorion was destroyed through the use of a powerful holocron, all due to the part of the actions of the Outlander. When Valen was killed, no successor to the throne was present, allowing the Outlander to take control. The Eternal Empire would then dissolved with some holdings acquired by the Alliance, which were reformed into the full-fledged government known as the Eternal Alliance. So yeah, you get a hold of all the cool stuff after you take down literally everyone. And depending if you want to go dark or light side actions, things could be, you could be a tyrant, or you can just be like, you know, make sure none of this is ever used again for evil kind of a thing. Depending on your actions.
Star Wars choices.
Yeah. So now we have the politics. So the rule of the Eternal Empire was held the title of Emperor, or the rule was female Empress. The overall government system is an absolute monarchy. The head of government and military was the High Justice. The High Justice also apparently was the second in command of the Empire, and had unlimited power when Valen held the rank under Arkin's leadership. Go figure. Their military, the Eternal Empire's military, was composed primarily of Skytroopers and the Knights of Zakul. It did possess biologists found mainly on the Star Fortresses and other humans as officers, just as the rogue Koth Vortina. Other personnel of the Eternal Empire's military included Eternal Empire troopers and their variants. And then during Empress Valen's reign, the Horizon Guard was formed to serve her directly and to surpass the Knights of Zakul, who failed to defend her brother during the Battle of Odessen. The head of the Eternal Empire's military was the High Justice. And then their society, Zakulians were generally raised in the comfort and safety of the Spire and led easy lives of intellectual and creative pursuits, despite some occasionally felt compelled to seek out less high-minded excitement. The Old World, the remnants of Valkorion's first attempt to the Grand City, offer an opportunity for citizens of this spire to indulge their need for exhilaration. Many Zakulians pay at least one visit to cheer at the gladiator pits or sample the red light district. Countless more simply venture down to tour the Sealy streets and thrill to the distasteful and the taboo. Yeah.
Sounds like a party.
Pretty much. The gladiator pits is where you find Boldar, which is the Wookiee companion from the smuggler that you get to recruit. He's trying to free fellow gladiators and people who don't want to be there because they're, enslaved, kind of a thing.
Right. So how many companions do you get per origin?
Typically, per class, there's at least 5 or 6, I think. Typically.
Yeah.
Per, and then when you get to the later expansions, such as, Fallen Empire and going forward, you can have well over a dozen, maybe 20 plus companions that you can unlock.
That's a crowded ship.
Well, funny enough, they don't stay on your ship. They just stay in on the Alliance base once you get to those expansions.
Right. I guess that makes sense.
Because you don't really use your class ship for most of the cutscenes for the Fallen Empire and on. You don't really use your own, you don't use your class ship anymore for cutscenes. So you have a generic shuttle ship that you use. It's kind of weird, but you get your class ship back. You just don't use it that much. So I do have some behind the scenes. So the Internal Empire was first mentioned in 2015 on the SWTOR webpage, promoting the expansion Knights of the Fallen Empire and the BioWare video game Star Wars The Old Republic. And then in December 2016, a Polish edition of Star Wars Galactic Atlas, a reference book of the new Star Wars canon, includes entry of For the Emperor of Zakul. The book places it in the far west of the galaxy in the unknown regions. However, the author of Galactic Atlas, Emil Fortune, stated that he did not know why or how Zakul crept into the Polish translation of the canon reference book. Yeah.
Sure. It was an accident.
Sure, yeah. It's how do I get something I really like from SWTOR into the canon? Oh no, I accidentally wrote something here.
I think that if Lucasfilms and Lucasfilm Games didn't think that they could make a lot of money from a KOTOR expansion or a KOTOR remake, they would just canonize all of this and just say, yeah, this is what happened. And then just profit off of BioWare doing the Old Republic.
Yep. Even though, it's sad to say that even though BioWare and SWTOR is constantly being updated and added with content and all that it's not canon, even though it's a current game and constantly evolving and adding stuff. It should be canon. As I'll be honest, KOTOR and the Old Republic should just be canon at this point, because nothing in those stories will ever affect the current canon of the timelines, because it's so far back. I've had discussions with friends about the events of SWTOR and why it's not canon, or why it should be canon, and they always have these well, Valkorion exists. It's yeah, but he dies. So therefore, it has no repercussions when it comes to Palpatine.
Right, and the thing about it is because everyone talks about why aren't things as cool as they are in the Old Republic era? Why aren't they as awesome? And why aren't the Jedi as powerful? But as you progress through the story and you look at Star Wars as a whole, the Jedi aren't as powerful, the Jedi aren't as strong, because the Old Republic, the era of SWTOR, is the golden age of the Republic. Yes. And then by the end of that era, by the time we get the Darth Bane trilogy and Darth Bane basically hiding the Sith, the Republic and the Jedi begin their decline. So by the time we get to the original trilogy, the Jedi, or even the prequel trilogy, the Jedi, the Republic, they're all shadows of what they once were.
Oh yeah, easy. And especially if you even take the context of the Old Republic and add the High Republic stuff into it, it even makes more sense on why the Jedi are not as powerful in the the prequel trilogy, because we find out the Jedi Temple was built on top of a Sith shrine, draining their power, or clouding their judgment and visions through the Force to figure out what's going on in the galaxy.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that happens to why Old Republic is the Jedi and the Sith are more powerful, because at the time, the orders were both orders were actually completely different from what we see in the original series, trilogy, or even the prequel trilogy. The orders were more, I would say, more flexible, and especially the Jedi Order was a lot more flexible back then, because they, in certain cases, allowed Jedi to have romantic relationships. Hence, how we have the Sean line from Bastila and Revan.
Right.
So
basically, with Revan, they basically say, "Hey, if you don't come and teach your heresy, we'll let you keep your wife."
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happens in the book of the Old Republic Revan. Like, the only reason that he was able to stay is because he stay with Bastila is because the Jedi Council did not want him to. It's like, because he's seen both light and dark, and they didn't want him teaching something in between when that was honestly the right way to go. In my opinion. But, yeah, that's why I have the Internal Empire.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. Anything else that we should add before we end the episode?
I don't think so.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to the Holocron Histories podcast. We will see you next time.
And may the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.